This is day 12 of documenting my journey as a founder building an 8-figure business. And this week I had to say no to $100,000 sponsorship deal for one of my clients that we get rev share on because it was a conflict of interest. And it sucks because I put the time and effort into negotiating that deal, making things happen, and the situation was that basically this sponsor inquired like 2.5 to 3 months ago, and back then we were still renegotiating a new deal with another sponsor that we have, and these two have overlapping services. They're different in the niche. I can't give too many details on exactly what they are, but it's in the crypto industry. And one is a brokerage and the other one is an exchange. So they're similar but different. They do things differently. They are targeting technically different people, but they do have, specifically these two, a few things that overlap. And the existing sponsor that we have is trying to basically serve more people through similar services of this other sponsor that inquire. So back then we had a chat and everything seemed pretty good, but they didn't move forward. They basically stalled too long, and then eventually they were like, oh, we need to speak to finance, whatever. And I had 2 meetings with them, and then I was like, guys, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. We're just going to continue to grow. So it's up to you if you want to take advantage of the deal, because my client, we have grown his brand like crazy this year. So he's becoming quite famous in the crypto niche. So we have a lot of leverage now, and we also have case studies of sponsors. So like we have enough proof basically that sponsors get a ton of benefit of working with my client and my team. So the deal didn't happen, and this last weekend we were at the CryptoCon. So we were with my client doing some content and all that stuff. And this dude comes to me and approached me, and he's like, hey, which is basically the founder and CEO of that other potential sponsorship. And he comes to me, he's like, dude, I know we talked about working together, but we've been busy and stuff. And I was like, dude, you guys need to move faster and whatnot. And I happened to be talking to one other technically new sponsor that we're waiting for them to pay to officially come on board. So the deal is supposedly done already. And yeah, essentially on the spot, he tells me, dude, we're keen to get this going. And I was like, oh shit. and I didn't think things very, very well, essentially. Because he just said, yeah, dude, let's do it. Let's get it going. And I was like, cool, man. Let's make things happen. And we shook hands. I'm changing my hand because the vlogging live is exhausting. So we shook hands, and pretty much he's like, yep, cool, let's get it going this week and whatnot. I said, cool, I'll get you to meet my client. I went and talked to my client, and I was like, dude, we got this deal. And then we just started talking, and I realized like, oh shit, this might actually be a conflict of interest. And then my client is telling me, like, I don't know, should we ask the other sponsor? And I was like, man, I think it's pretty clear, but we can ask. And then we went, I introduced my client to this potential sponsor. We had a great chat, and he's like, guys, I can't wait to start working with you. And we're looking at each other like, oh, dude, we might not be able to make this happen. We'll see. And essentially, I went back on Monday, and I checked everything, their services, and I ended up checking with our existing sponsor, and he said like, yeah, that's one of our direct competitors. So essentially, we can't take them as a sponsor. It's too much conflict, but also we're trying to provide world-class customer service and experience. And even though we could have, because basically in our agreement, we are all good to take these guys as a sponsor, even if our existing sponsor didn't wanted us or they weren't as happy with us doing that. But we didn't do it mostly because we're trying to provide, first of all, world-class customer experience to our sponsors, for them to feel premium, to know that, hey, we got you and we're on the same team and we're not going to be helping, anyone that you're trying to compete with. And we also want to provide world-class results for our sponsors because they're paying to be a sponsor. And that means that if we have two brands that, even though they might not be direct competitors, but there's a lot of overlap in services, their results are likely going to suffer. So, yeah, I ended up making the call. I told my client, hey, we can't take these guys. Send him an email and just explain that there was too much conflict of interest, that we look forward to staying connected with them and that we like what he's doing and all this stuff, but we can't get the partnership going at this point in time. But that sucked because I shook his hand. I hate that shit, man, because a handshake is your word. More than and I value that more than a contract, more than anything. A handshake is your word, it's your reputation, it's your name on the line. So that really fucking bothered me, that I shook the hand and I couldn't get it going now. So, yeah, that has fucking played in my head so much this week. Because I don't do that shit. If I say I'm gonna do something, if I shake someone's hand, it's happening. That's why I'm super careful these days of whose hands I shake, what do I say I'm going to do, what promises I make for myself and for other people, because when I say I'm gonna do something, I just do it. So yeah, that was a lesson and a reminder of always triple check, because you don't want to be going back on something that you said you're gonna do, or a handshake or a commitment, giving your word. So that's a reminder for me that even if you get caught up on the spot, even if opportunities feel attractive, just make sure that everything is good to go. Just triple check, especially when it comes to deals and partnerships and when there is a lot of money on the line. This is a 6-figure deal. It was a $79,200 for 12 months, paid monthly, so broken down on monthly payments for 12 months, plus bonuses on top of that for as many people that we sent, and the trading volume and so on. So it was pretty much over 100K that we're gonna be making on that sponsor alone. So it's a lot of money that we had to say no to. And the other part to this is that basically we're gonna have to renegotiate that sponsor deal that we currently have, because we sold ourselves too low, and we have said already no to a few deals because of the similar situation. It's a conflict of interest. So that sucked, but it's just a part of the game. And even though money is super attractive and we could have got this thing going and, don't even mention anything to our existing sponsor and just make more money, essentially, it's not all about the money. Protect your reputation and never go back on your word. Always triple check things. Make sure there's no conflict of interest, because you would rather preserve your reputation, their relationships as well. People will respect you more if you explain exactly the situation and why you couldn't get a deal happening, and showing that you have morals and ethics, essentially. So, yeah. Moving to the next deals.